Reddit, what is the worst existing job? Probably the sulfur carriers in Aceh, Indonesia. They climb down into an active volcano and hack out big stones of sulfur, load up 160 pounds onto their backs, then haul 1,000 feet up out of the caldera. For about $10 a day, depending on how much they manage to carry. It just looks miserable. On a serious note, the guy who has to watch child pronoun to actually verify it as such. My mother was a detective and was overly corrective on blinds. When my sister was pregnant, I asked her why, and she said that she had to report to numerous calls of infants who accidentally hung themselves on strings of blinds because parents put the crib too close to the window. I honestly don't know how most cops remain mentally stable after seeing shit like that. IMT airplane lavatories. It's not the most glamorous job, but it certainly beats being a waitress. 911 Caltica/dispatcher here. Oh yeah, man, the stories I could tell. I've heard some stuff in the past 10 years, let me tell you. House cleaning for a low budget motel. I'd rather not know what the liquid is, thanks. Air traffic control. I've heard it's the most stressful job in the world, surpassing even top level government jobs such as the presidency. Mad props to those workers. Teacher for an inner city school. I worked at one for 2 months. Would throw up before going into work every day. There's a reason they suck so bad, and it's not because they lack money. Got a job at another poor rural district, and it was great. Never felt stressed at all. I'm sure there are worse things, but that's the worst job I've had. I think the president is the worst job you can think of. Not so much pay, everyone dislikes you, and you not actually have the power to charge things. Retail. I've never hated people more or been treated that badly in my life. It's totally soul crushing. Everyone forgets you're human and that you're not someone's punching bag. You are seen as disposable and are treated like crap by bosses/management. I used to clean public washrooms in a busy area. It is amazing how little respect some people have for public toilets or lack any ability to clean up after themselves if they make a mess. Ever come across a toilet stall you were about to go into but then stopped because it's covered in poop? Some poor worker has to try and wipe all that away and get it back to normal. Being a politician who really and truly wants to make the world a better place. Realizing that the system sucks, corruption is rife, big companies rule, and probably nothing will really change. And then, you are voted out of office by some weasel who beat you on some lies, being sponsored by some rich lobbyist. And that's in just about in any country. I know this doesn't hold a candle mentally or physically to some of the other jobs here, but generally, fast food workers. I'm getting paid $8.75 right now, and people in general that we have to serve can be really awful human beings. We've been yelled at, drinks thrown at us, people just driving up in a bad mood, etc. I'm out in Texas 90-degree F weather all day long trying to take your order for a little over minimum wage. The least you can do is show some respect. A sea fixing, I can explain. Because wherever you go, it's too hot or too cold, because there's no AC, and the moment it is starting to become a comfortable temperature you leave. Hell is real, and it's working at Chipotle. Corporate controls everything, meaning they'll try to cut costs by scheduling far less people than needed. The meats take a lot longer to cook than people realize. Frontline is a constant balancing act of scraping a minuscule portion, which will cut costs, be in line with the rules, and give the cooks less work, or a giant portion, because the customer wants to get their money's worth. I read that working in hospitals in New York during the coronavirus outbreak has been really bad. They were overwhelmed with dying people. There were a lot of people that they couldn't save, and they ran out of room for the dead bodies, so they had to rent refrigerated trucks. All that and the serious risk of catching the disease themselves and bringing it home to their families. Anything too repetitive messes me up. I recently did some online data entry work while under lockdown. The pay was decent and the work was easy, but 12 hours of doing the same thing over and over again, every single day for 3 months turned me into a raging insomniac. I can never see myself working at a help desk support role. Being forced to resolve an issue in 2 minutes tops and not having the luxury of actually spending time to research it and find a proper solution is baffling. Amazon warehouse employee. Collapsing from overexertion, working in scorching heat, pissing in bottles, because any lapse in productivity is harshly punished. It's no surprise that there is also a high level of workplace suicides. I worked at a gas station once when we had the carpets cleaned. The guy running the carpet cleaning machine had an assistant that went around before him to chip the smushed hardened pieces of gum off of the carpet. That was all I saw his assistant do. Imagine chipping gum off of a carpet for your living. For me, I think it's gravediga. Here in Romania we have a tradition that if another family member dies and if the family has no other burial spot, they have to dig out the last family member who was buried there, place their bones in a sack and bury them at the feet of the person who is to be buried. Addiction rehab workers have it hard usually. They have to deal with adults acting like children when they don't get their alcohol/drugs and do the dumbest things, while the rehab workers have to stop them and basically deal with oversized toddlers wanting some alcohol. I once saw a short video of a young girl somewhere in Africa whose job was to lift up the tail of a cow and then stick her face into its butthole and blow air for as long as possible or until the cow begins to poop. After it poops, she does it again. I think it's supposed to make the cow able to produce milk or some weird nonsense. It was both sad and gross. Right now, cop. You literally put your life at risk. You also have to deal with unfairly being hated because of peers that had nothing to do with you. Sherpa guide. You're risking your life to guide tourists, oftenly arrogant and undertrained, on the highest mountain of the world, an amazing sight that is trashed because of that. You get paid nicely according to the local revenue, but absolutely underpaid considering what you're doing and what the tourists are paying. Also, you are probably Buddhists, so you are persecuted. This job is the only thing that allow your ethnic group to be known worldwide. If too many of Sherpa guides stop doing this job, they basically risk losing everything. I shoveled out a sheep pen one spring after a long winter. That felt like the most god-awful punishment you could put someone through. 1 to 2 feet of hay, urine and feces compacted over the course of several months. Every layer you pull up reveals a more putrid smell than the one before. The layers also get progressively heavier to lift as you dig deeper because the hay is more saturated at the bottom. As you near the bottom layers, you have to pick and prod at it to break it loose and fork out. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, it would really make my day.